If
you love baseball and history and want to be entertained, you've come to the right place. My podcasts explore America's pastime from its roots in Des Moines after the Civil War to what lies ahead for franchises like the Iowa Cubs. In doing so, I discuss the game with former players, front office staff, broadcasters, historians, fans who have a passion for the game, and fellow authors. So let's get started with the 13th episode of my podcast, Pug, Fireball, and Company, which, by the way, is named after my latest book. My guest today is Bruce
Thome
of Urbandale, who helped organize the Rippey Ruckus in 2021. It's a 3-day baseball tournament. It's adult baseball teams from, the last I saw, Iowa, Minnesota, and South Dakota to Rippey, a town of approximately 200 people in central Iowa. Now, before I met Bruce, I must confess I had never heard of Rippey, and I thought I had heard of most small towns in Iowa. So the Rippey Ruckus is played at Walt Anderson Field, which is located on the west side of Rippey. The original field, called Martin Field, opened in 1940 and hosted the Rippey Merchants and Rippey High School Bulldogs in the early years. So that field's been there for 85 years.
Yeah, this is 85th year.
Wow. The ballpark was one of the first fields in Iowa to add lights. It even hosted 4 high school state baseball tournaments in the 1950s and 60s. Martin Field was renamed Walt Anderson Field in 2003 after a longtime Rippey baseball supporter. And this kind of sounds like the Clarinda A's. I'm kind of familiar with them. I was born in Clarinda, and they've had a team since the 1950s. First it was a town team, now it's a collegiate summer league team.
Mm-hmm.
So good evening, Bruce. Where did you grow up and go to school?
I grew up in North Iowa, Mason City area, Saragona County. And I went to school in North Springs, Iowa, and then Mason City.
Yep. Did you play baseball in high school or college?
I played baseball I went to college after I was in the Navy. So I played baseball in high school up until 11th grade. And then had a summer job the next summer. I switched schools and ended up playing softball a little bit, and then started playing baseball again when I was in San Diego.
What is your favorite major league team and why?
Minnesota Twins. I love the Twins. I've been a Twins fan ever since I was a little kid. I believe my first game I attended was in 1973 at those knothole games. I remember riding in the back of the station wagon. I was about 5 years old, going up there. The day I was born, here's a nice little trivia too. The day I was born, the Twins beat the Boston Red Sox 1-0, and Jim Cott had pitched a complete game, and Rod Crew had got on, stole second base, and then Tony Rubin came up and hit a double and knocked him in for the only run of the game. So I have met all 3 gentlemen. Actually, Tony's awesome. I know Tony League a little bit better than the other 2, but great guys.
Who is your favorite major league player? Or was your favorite?
Well, I was Kirby Puckett. I love Tony Gwynn from all my years in San Diego. Right now, my current major league, my favorite player is Luis Arraez.
And he's a batting champion, isn't he?
He is 3 times.
Now, I've heard of the Urbandale Twins in the Mid-Iowa Baseball League. Do you still play for the Urbandale Twins in the Mid-Iowa Baseball League?
Even the Urbandale Twins or the Des Moines Twins, yes, I do. I started as a 46-year-old rookie in 2014, so 12. I don't know. This is my 12th season on the team. Yeah, we keep aging up.
What position do you play usually?
I'll play the corner outfields, and the last couple of years I've been playing a lot of first base too. So I like to pick them over there at first, but basically, geez, I'll play any position basically. I played some second base and did some third base and caught, pitched. I really just don't play shortstop, but other than that, I'll play all the outfield positions and just do whatever needs to help the team.
What is the Mid Iowa Baseball League? How many teams does it have? It's for adults.
Yeah, the Mid Iowa Baseball League is in Des Moines. This is their 30th season, 30th year anniversary this year. We're getting, I think they're getting everybody shirts. It's affiliated with the MSBL, Mid Senior Baseball League of America, MSBA. They founded in Des Moines in 1994. They've had all kinds of different age groups. Right now we have there's an 18 plus. Mostly they're like younger guys in their 20s, and then like some guys out of college. We have a 30 plus, we have a 40 plus, and a 48 and above. And I think they're trying to maybe adjust out to 53 or 50 something. But yes, we have. Let's see. There's about four teams. Then four teams in the 50s. In the 40s, I think there's six. In the 30s, there's probably 6 or 8. I can't remember. And in the other one, I believe, in the younger one, I think there was 6 teams last year. I guess it all depends on how many people they get. But yeah, we play a lot of baseball throughout the summer.
Is there anybody in the 60s, 70s, or 80s playing?
Actually, quite a few guys in their 60s.
Oh, really?
Guys in my team, and then a couple of teams have some guys that are in their 70s, and mostly those guys that are in their 70s, they're just pitchers, and they throw slower and slower.
I was going to ask, do they have live pitching, or do you use pitching machines?
No, we pitch. Yep.
It's live pitching. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How fast do you think they throw the ball on average?
Depends on what age is. I guess in our senior division, I think some guys maybe 60, some guys maybe top out in the 70s. Couple guys, he might even, probably in the upper 70s. Some guys can bring it, but I umpire too. So when I see the younger ones, man, those guys throw in the 80s, maybe some of them are low 90s, maybe, but. Yeah, it's.
Do they throw any breaking pitches?
Oh yeah, breaking balls. I've seen knuckleballs, curveballs, sliders.
Wow.
Sweepers.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, a lot of guys. Some guys had played college baseball, or they played. There's even a few people that have played professionally in the league too. So it's a whole mix of stuff. It's just I think that we don't kind of. The biggest, the best thing is probably the most memorable is sitting in the parking lot afterwards, passing a bag of peanuts around, drinking a beer. That's where we make a lot of our memories at.
Do any women play in the league?
Not in our league, no.
Okay.
No. Sometimes we have special things, and maybe guys will bring their daughters will play or something. But there are some women. I play in Minnesota on the weekends too, and I have seen a few ladies play baseball. But and then when I go to Florida, the Twins camp, there's probably 6 or 7 ladies in camp every year too that play, and they hang with the guys. They sure do.
I went to Cubs fantasy camp in Mesa, Arizona in 2018 and 19, and yeah, there were a few women. In fact, one woman's been there for years, every year, and she's a good hitter. Play the infield.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a short break here.
Okay.
I looked at a blog from November 27th, 2021, and I think this captures small-town baseball. It was written by Ron Adante, Ndate. So he described Rippey baseball this way. To me, Rippey represents what baseball was for decades. From the beginning, the game was meant to be played on a small stage with ordinary people as participants and residents coming out to watch their neighbors. Baseball was what you did after work or school, on the weekends, after chores were done, or after church. Folks enjoyed getting out on the field not to be superstars, but because it was their favorite way to spend their summer days or fall nights. For those that weren't playing, games provided entertainment, a chance to socialize, and a source of common enjoyment. Games were an occasion to forget the workday and enjoy life. And I thought that was a very good description of small town baseball.
Yes.
Having seen baseball in Clarinda when I was a kid, my dad would take me to the games, and I'd watch the games go after foul balls, and then he would talk with his friends in the grandstand who he grew up with. So yeah,
Of course. Yeah, the gentleman who did that blog, he lives in San Luis Obispo, California. He's never been to Iowa before, but he was intrigued with all the stuff, and he does that blog for baseball over 40, and just he watched some videos, and he read some history on stuff, and asked me some questions, and he did that up, and I'm like, I think he did a great job. And since when that he published that, we've grown a lot more since then.
Yeah, he did an excellent job of capturing the atmosphere of small town baseball. So as for the Rippey Ruckus itself, how did you get involved in the Rippey Ruckus?
How did you
get involved?
I didn't get involved. I created it. Yes. So it goes back to when I went to Twins Fantasy Camp, and in 2000, first time I went, 2019, we got to play at the Target Field, and then in January 2020, I went to Twins Camp and met all these guys from Minnesota, and one of my teammates, the team that I played on there, he was forming a team in Minnesota. In Minnesota, he was just starting his own, so had asked me to play. But we talked about our team possibly coming up and playing them sometime. And so later that fall, in October of 2020, our Twins team went up to Minneapolis, up to the Twin Cities, and then we met them on Saturday in Crystal, Minnesota, and we played the Crystal Cubs and the Brooklyn Center Dodgers. And afterwards, we were sitting around, like I told you, sitting around on the parking lot, talking about, hey, we want to do it again. And we're like, yeah, okay, we can come back. And this guy named Tom said, heck no, man, it's too cold here in the spring. We want to come to Iowa. I was like, okay, put the wheels in motion. And the teammate on my team and the Twins here, his name is David Hick, and his hometown is Rippey. So he had talked about Mel Merkin had for a year or so, and said, hey, Mel's been working on this field. I know a place where we can go. And so we put the wheels in motion, and I planned it, and all that first Rippey Ruckus, there were probably around 20 guys that were there, and two ladies too, Stacy and Tracy. If you Stacy and Tracy, you watching this from Rochester, Minnesota, and love you girls too. They came down and they played with the Cubs, so we took a photo with all of us from the Twins Fantasy Camp. There was people from every single team, from all four teams that were there that had went to the camp, and it's just going from there. So it's been great. I know you said that one, but the last couple of years we've had a team from Chicago comes down, and since the fall of 2020, I've had a team from Kansas City every single event too. So they're coming back.
How many teams is this tournament to draw each year?
Usually 4. Last fall I had 6. Actually, the guys that play in Norway, the one that the movie was written about, the final season.
Right.
I had contacted them a couple years ago to see if they were interested in playing, because they'll go out and play in Las Vegas or Arizona or Florida. And Brian Freese contacted me last fall and was like, hey, I wanted to know if you wanted to come play. And I was like, well, I'm organizing this thing in Rippey. So those guys from the Norway Tigers came and they played last fall. Came and played 2 games, and they invited us to go to Norway. So 2 weeks later, a group of us guys from the league got together and went over to Norway and played them 2 games over there. It was fun. It was a fun day.
Did Bruce Kim come? Isn't he from Norway?
he was not there, but his cousin Dennis, who plays in our league, actually is going to play on Rippey Demons with us too. His cousin, Bruce Kim's cousin, Dennis, came plays in our league, and he plays with us. And when we went to Norway, his folks lived right outside of town over there. They came to watch the game, but he played with us, with us. He wore a Rippey Demons shirt, jersey, or whatever he wore. But yeah, he didn't play with his friends from Norway. He played with us, but it was a great game, great day.
Are the rules similar to professional baseballs, or do you make special concessions because of the age of the players, especially the older players? Do you like a no slide rule or anything to keep everybody safe? Or
yeah, it's basically so in the MSBL here in Des Moines, we basically use major league rules, and there's some modifications as well. Like there are some for like a senior hitter over 65 and over, where if they don't have to take a penalty if they don't want to hit, or they can come in, or they can jump in and get in the lineup, or just add them to the bottom of the order without anything, and then we give them courtesy runs. Of course, most of us all do. Somebody's always hurting somewhere. So yeah, we do the courtesy runners, and then we have free substitution on defense in and out. So if you start the game and run, and then you sit out for a couple of innings and then go back in, there's no penalty. So yeah, we just try to keep everybody fresh and have fun and try not to get hurt.
Yeah. Sounds like those fantasy camps. That was kind of the idea there. Have fun, but don't get hurt.
That's right. But, after you went to a couple, you probably saw people get hurt. I saw people pulling Achilles on the morning Sunday. Before we even started playing, the first 10 minutes, I've seen people get hurt, and they're on crutches all week. But, hey, they're there. They're giving it a go. So,
what does the Rippey Ruckus mean to you and the other players?
Steve, it's bringing like for me, the passion is helping, honoring Mel Merkin, who he turns 84 on this week. His birthday's this week. He's moved there in 1965. That was his first teaching job and coaching, and then he coached that high school there, and then he had to play on the Rippey Demons back then because the school board told him, I'm like, hey, because he played in Boone. He played in the Boone team, and because he grew up in Boone, and he played high school in Drake, he went to college at Drake and played baseball at Drake, and then he went back to Boone and was playing on the Boone Falcons. I believe he said it was a team, but he took the teaching job in Rippey, and he told him, he's like, one stipulation, you have to play for the Rippey Demons. So he played like 3 years for the Rippey Demons too. So it's just honoring him. He's put a lot of his whole life into baseball, and it's just like whatever I can do to help fulfill his dream. Like he said he wanted to make it a show. I don't know if you saw the video. He's like, I want to make a showcase. So hey, there's a few of us working together. Calvin and David Hillick and some other town folks there. They're just to work hard and bringing baseball back to that little town. And it's we get a lot of old folks that grew up in there, and they come back and they said, I saw the lights, and when I see the lights on, then I know everything is in the world because they're playing baseball.
What does the event mean to the community at large?
I'm not sure. It's some people like it. I guess they like having folks come into town, and because they don't get a lot of stuff in this except for that maybe the bike ride to Rippey that they do from Perry to Rippey every year. The town folks, they come out and they'll watch the game on this will be the 3rd or 4th season that I've had scheduled high school games there. So I've been marketing there for high schools to come and play. So 22, 3, 4. Yeah, this is the 4th year that I've had high school games. And the community comes out, the people that live in the surrounding towns come and just sit in the grandstand or just pull up a chair, and they get the popcorn and have some hot dogs and just enjoy the peaceful, because it's like out in the country right next to the field. So when I go out there, I just feel very at peace. It's very at peace.
Is it sort of like the Field of Dreams in Dyersville with corn out on outside the outfield fences? There's cornfields. Is that sort of where it is like in Rippey?
Not on the cornfield is on the third base side, off of about maybe about 100 feet from the thing, but it's right out there. It's right next to the field.
When I edit this, I hope to put a picture you supplied of the field itself so people get an idea of
Sure.
the dimensions. Can you kind of describe the dimensions of the field? I know it's kind of has a short right field fence.
Okay. Yes. They built that field in 19 opened it up in 1940, and the street along that goes along there, I believe it's First Street or Cartwright First Street, or I think it's the street. So from home plate down to the right field corner is 266 feet, and then it goes along the street, and then straightaway center field is about 370. The deepest part of the ballpark is, I believe, seat about 375, and then comes around down the left field line is 329, and we have an 8-foot fence all the way around.
You see a lot of home runs to right field.
You know, you'd think you'd see more, but I think it gets in the guy's head a lot, and but I have seen quite a few. I'm like, I've played in, I think, of all the games that we've had there in the last 5 years, I've played in more games than anybody else has, and I've umpired more games there as well too. So I've seen a lot. I did see a freshman last year. I was home plate umpire. There's a kid from Pleasantville. He was a freshman last year, and he hit one that landed beyond left field. There was it was a ice rink or a roller skating rink that they turned into a pickleball court, and it landed in the middle of the pickleball court. And I measured that thing for the Google map Google, and I would say that thing was about to the middle of that pickleball court is about 415 feet. He ripped it, and then I believe the Clarinda A's did play there a couple years ago. The Des Moines Peak Prospects are now the Warren County Crop Dusters. They played some games up there, like 4 games in 2022, I believe. And Clarinda came up there. They were I believe the Sedalia team from Missouri, and Carroll Merchants played there too. But I was at one of the games there, and this guy hit a home run, and it went over. It would have went over like a big 30, 40 foot wall. It landed in the driveway of the house across the street, and then when I went to pick up the ball, where I picked the ball up at, because it had bounced in the front yard, it was about 430. Where I picked the ball up from home plate, it was at 400 some feet away. It was a shot.
Wow. So how do you think a community the size of Rippey support this type of event?
Say again, sir.
How can a community the size of Rippey support this kind of event? I mean, it's a lot to ask of a town of 200 people.
Well, there's not too much from the town people. They just come out. We have the few volunteers, and we charge each team usually $700-800 to come and play. It's more of a fundraiser for the ballpark, so it's our big fundraiser. So our biggest expense is paying the umpires, but then after that, everything else we buy some baseballs, and then everything else is pretty much like donation time, and guys just come and they'll buy stuff in the concession stand and just hang out and just come, and they just because they love us supporting the what we got going on there, and it's the camaraderie, sitting in the field out there and having a beer.
Do they promote it much, or do you?
I'm a promoter.
Promotion yourself.
Yes, I promote it. We either make signs, we put it on Facebook, Twitter X, and Instagram stuff. I got there's a Facebook page for the Rippey Baseball Commission, and I have a
Does it
private
have a
group.
website?
No website, no website.
Okay.
Just on Facebook. No, we we are very grassroots, very grassroots fundraising.
Rippey's first baseball team was called the Hardscrabble. That's a good name. Was established in 1880, which is actually 7 years before the first professional baseball game was played in Des Moines. So it's got one up on Des Moines.
Yes,
How has the community managed to keep its baseball legacy alive after 145 years when the popularity of baseball compared to football has declined? I mean, that's amazing that a little town,
yes,
145 years later, would still have a baseball tournament. What's
yes.
the secret?
Hey, you know what? It's nostalgia, and so I'm gonna tell you a little story here, Steve, if you want to know.
Sure.
Sure. So I played high school baseball up in North Iowa, and I went to the Mason City Catholic School, the Newman Catholic, and we played. I don't know if you've heard of Bancroft, Iowa, Bancroft St. John's. Have you heard of Bancroft, Iowa?
No.
Well, you should look them up too. They'll have a very long history as well too. Bancroft. There's actually a movie. You can find a movie on it. But it's kind of like Clarinda too. Exactly. They've had a long history of baseball. So when I was in high school, I was 17 years old, and we went to Bancroft to go play. Back then there was a Catholic school called Bancroft St. John's, and man, a long history. There's major leaguers that came from Bancroft as well too. But I got to the field and we got off the bus and we walked in, and I thought like I was stepping into the 1930s or 40s. They had like wood picket fence all the way around, like probably 8 foot high fence, wood picket. And I was just like, I just remember that memory. And so my deal with now is like, up there now is like, why are these schools? Why do these people? Why do they want to come here and play here? And I was like, Coach, I call him Coach a lot. Coach, I told him the story when I was a teenager, when I was in high school, and we went there. That made a memory, and here it is 40 years later, and it's still very fresh in my mind. So our starting point now is like these high schools and coaches and athletic directors bring their teams out to this little area community and just kind of like take in the history, play on a field that's been there since 1940 that maybe their grandparents have played at, or parents have played at something like this a long time ago, because the last time the schools closed was in 2012 was the last time they used it as a school, but they used that field for a long time, and a lot of history there. So I've met a lot of people that played there and told me stories, some of them in that Sabre group that I met you at a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Baseball really seems to lend itself to stories compared to the other major sports. I guess it's just maybe because it's been around for so long. That
yes, sir.
There's endless stories about baseball that you don't really see in other sports. Anything else you'd like to say here?
What would you like to know about me? I have a lot of history.
The tournament is coming up the end of April. Now, who's playing in it, and when are the games?
April 25th, 26th, and 27th. Our Rippey Demons. There's our Rippey Town hat. The Rippey Demons. I got a team that's come to every event with my friend David that I met up in Minnesota. Brings the St. Michael Angels from St. Michael, Minnesota. They're up near Abbottville, going up Highway 94 towards St. Cloud. The Kansas City team, the Bulls from Kansas City, Missouri. They play in the league down there. And then the Demons went to Florida a few years ago and played in the Sunshine Classic. And they played against a team from Chicago, and they talked up and they invited them. So we invited them over. And so these guys have come. This will be their third. They came in 23, 24, and now, this will be their third year. Fourth time coming to Rippey, driving from Chicago. There's a couple guys coming from Florida to play with them, and we've had a guy from California, from Los Angeles, flew out and played with us a couple of years ago. And my friend Hans, who lives in Hans, if you're going to watch this, Hans lives in Japan now, but I played with him for a couple seasons in the Twin Cities when I go up on the weekends and play up there. And Hans is I believe 62 this year, and he still plays like all the time in Japan right now. I follow him. We watch his videos, and he's up there. So yeah.
What do people from Chicago think of Rippey, Iowa?
Oh man, they come out.
Culture shock. I would.
It is very different from Chicago coming down to Rippey.
Yeah.
It is, but yeah, they it's interesting, man. I think they just feel the peace and the calm there. You know, Steve. It's like they don't have to worry about somebody coming up shooting. Like I talked to one of the guys from Chicago team, and he was like a police officer for 30 years there, and he was just like, "Oh man, some of the places where we're at is like, man, I don't want to go there anytime, like whatever." But they feel very safe there, very safe. Hopefully, we'll get by a crop duster.
Well, it's quite a story.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully, I'll get up there one of those days and see some games. And I got a blog, and hopefully, I can put some on my blog about it too.
Okay.
Okay. So,
what else would you like to know,
Bruce,
Steve?
for spending part of your day with us. To listen to my other podcasts with such guests as Sam Burnaby and Randy Weho for the Iowa Cubs and former Major Leaguers Jim Marshall, Byron Brown, and Rich Nye, go to www.youtube.com at Steve Dunn, that's capital S, capital D, dash 09I. You can also get my book, Pug Fireball and Company, 116 Years of Professional Baseball in Des Moines, Iowa, by going to pugfireballandcompany.com. It's available at several bookstores in central Iowa, too. You better show it. The cover has three people you may be familiar with. Well, a couple you'll be familiar with.
I can see Satchel Paige there.
Right.
Bob Feller and
and the guy on the other side is a former Des Moines player.
Is that a Demons jersey he has on?
Yes, it's a Demon jersey. Yeah. Joe Kerrigan is the guy.
Okay. Would you like another little side story on how the Rippey Demons got their name?
Yeah, well, and Joe pitched a no-hitter. That's why he's on the cover of the book.
Okay.
Yeah, tell us another story.
I will tell you a little story. So you know your Iowa Cubs, they were the Iowa Oaks and the Iowa, all kinds of different team names. So in the 1950s, they were the Des Moines Demons. You know, they do their throwback stuff. Well, when they were switching the name in like 1961 from the Demons to, what was it?
The
Oaks. So they had all these jerseys. So in Rippey, their team was the Rippey Merchants, but they needed new jerseys, so they bought the jerseys from the Iowa, from the Des Moines Demons. So that's how they became the Rippey Demons. So and the Rippey you met the guy at the library in their community center. I've seen there's a jersey that's the original jersey from way back then. They have one framed up there, and then I've been at another event where the Rippey Ruckus, the guys came out with this white jersey with the red demons on it, and that's how they became the Rippey Demons.
Did they all fit, or did they have to do some alterations to the uniforms? I can't imagine they all fit.
I'm sure they probably did. Those guys were probably young and good way back when, and they didn't care. But that's how they got that became the Demons, and
another connection to Des Moines.
Yes, sir.
By the way, the winter edition of the Annals of Iowa has a nice review of my latest book, so you can check out the Annals of Iowa. So here's a fun fact. I'm going to try to do this in every podcast. So what was significant about October 1888? Well, the Des Moines Prohibitionists, get this name, Prohibitionists, captured the Western Association title by beating the Kansas City Blues 4-1 and 5-3. The Prohibitionists finished first during the regular season with a 73-40 record. Pretty good. So don't forget the Iowa Cubs open a 6-game series at Toledo tonight. The Iowa Cubs return home next Tuesday for a 6-game series against St. Paul. And I think Wednesday and Thursday are afternoon games. So that's nice. And hopefully it'll be warm then.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget the Rippey Ruckus, like Bruce pointed out, April 25th through 27th in Rippey.
Free admission.
With that, I'll close and say good night, everyone.